The main reason why I decided to participate is because I was teaching a class called Social Media for Social Change with the social media aspects of the challenge. And also the focus of the program that I work for, Beyond the Classroom, it's a living learning program, is on nonprofit leadership and civic engagement. And so we decided to sort of, the purpose of the challenge is try to engage students in issues that are important to them, which is also which is also the focus of our program. And so we thought it would be just a good fit. And the Do Good Challenge, they encourage the use of social media, but we required the use of social media because of the class. So we did say that they had to incorporate a couple of different, a few different platforms, at least a minimum of 3 and possibly more. And then what we did is over the next couple of weeks we had actually social media people, specialists from a variety of different, we had some people who do sort of PR marketing, some people who from nonprofits. We had some folks who run their own graphic design firm and also do social media marketing come in and actually critique their projects and talk about how they might have improved them and how they could do things differently. So that I couldn't grade them on their success in the Do Good Challenge. That's not fair.
Yeah.
So whether or not they succeeded in the challenge, I couldn't factor into their grades. But I could factor in, they had to create a social media plan. And so, I graded them on whether or not they followed the plan, and if they changed anything, they had to write it into their plan and talk about why they were changing their strategy, and they would give periodic presentations about how things were going, the number of likes they had gotten, any money they had raised, any impact they had done, number of people who had gone to events that they had organized, and they would, if they organized an event, they'd have to publicize the event through social media. And then I would encourage smaller groups because it's very hard to assess students within a large group like that. And I make the assessment very clear from the beginning. And I would add I'd make the individual component higher weight.
Okay.
What we had them do was they created the project, they started working on it, and then we would actually give them time in class to work on their projects. And partly that's because we meet for 3 hours at a time, and also because the demands of working on their individual projects were so high that they required some time. Well, everyone in the class decided to participate in the challenge, and they created 3 groups. They were based on personal interest. And one was Zacking Against Cancer, and it was to support, there's a University of Maryland freshman who was a manager on the basketball team who was diagnosed with brain cancer when he was 8 or 9, young, he was a child. And he'd gone into remission, but then he had recently learned that his brain tumor he had another brain tumor. So he needed to have another he had to have another surgery. So when he had his surgery, his dad took a picture of him from his hospital bed doing the strongman pose that they later coined as zacking, and then it kind of went viral. So people were sending all these photographs into a Tumblr. So what they did was they essentially acted as consultants to the family, who at that time were just in the process of starting their own nonprofit to support kids with cancer. And so they decided to help them maintain their social media across a bunch of different, and they worked with a local t-shirt company to print t-shirts, and then they organized a variety of different t-shirt sales. They also decided to provide free Zacking Against Cancer t-shirts during the last Maryland home basketball. They wanted to raise $14,000 for the Zacking Against Cancer nonprofit. Wow. And then, so they helped to do that using social media. And they did a variety of different things. They helped them start they were working with them to try to start a website. They were doing a whole bunch of different things. And also, through that process, also kind of training the people who were involved in the social media on how to be effective on social media. Second group was Do Good for Nutrition, and they worked on mostly an educational component of how to educate University of Maryland students on how to make healthy choices in terms of the food that they ate and being nutritious. So they did it both from perspectives of students living on campus and students living off campus, or students who didn't have dining plans. So they would talk a little bit about the food in the dining hall and where it came from, and healthy options and affordable options on campus and then also off campus. And as a part of that effort, they started a blog that would have the healthy food of the week or the superfood of the week and different recipes and different educational components around how to be. And they actually had a pretty decent following on Twitter, and they had Chipotle retweet one of their tweets, and they were very excited about that. So it's called Alter of Everything, and they had very popular T-shirts that they designed, and they were selling them to raise money for Maryland athletic teams that had been cut that year. And so they did a lot of outreach. They were really good about utilizing their Facebook page. They also developed a website during that semester, a beautiful website. And I think probably their biggest success that semester was because they were using the word TERP. They, Maryland, I don't know, some entity at the University of Maryland told them that they couldn't use that because it was licensed to the university. But what they did was they worked with the university, and they actually got licensed to be official athletic wear providers, T-shirts, and then got a variety of different celebrities to tweet wearing the because he'd send them to different celebrities and they tweet wearing them, and so they got to be, they did a nice job of branding. I think the biggest advantage of participating in the Do Good Challenge is that it created a sense of community within the classroom, because students were doing a project for a real organization or for a purpose, or they were planning something, planning an event or something, and it just created a sense of camaraderie and community that I've never experienced in any other class. And I also think the fact that they got to decide what they wanted to do for their own projects really just somehow rallied them all around what they were doing, and they just gave their hearts and souls to this project. And at the end of the semester, they all said that they never felt a stronger sense of community within a class, that they learned real skills, and also that they had felt that they were involved in the process. I would say to other instructors, faculty, staff who teach on campus that a compelling reason to do the Do Good Challenge is that students really enjoy it. It really resonates with them. And as much as we want them to be intrinsically motivated, there is that extrinsic motivation around joining some kind of competition, but it's also got an educational component. So I think it's a constructive competition. And I think that they were really interested and motivated by the challenge. So it's nice to have sort of an external entity that's encouraging them to want to take part in their learning and to take it to the next step, where in a traditional classroom setting that may be challenging to try to get them to give that little extra bit.